Well, welcome back. We're going to go right in. And I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to literally take you step by step through the Blue Letter Bible, Blue Letter Bible, to get you in there and to kind of show you. So you'll be able to literally play and pause your way to success with this tool. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so from Google, you're going to go into your bar here and type blueletterbible.org. Okay.
Perfect.
So once you're here, perfect.
What do you do now?
What do we do now? Off you go, Brenda.
Okay. So what you're going to do now is, and as you learned when you were able to listen to Bill's methodology video, you're going to be studying things from a Hebraic perspective. So that means that you're going to find a scripture and find the word in the scripture, not necessarily just grabbing any English word. It'll work both ways, but let's just show you what it's like when you look for a scripture specifically, okay? So we're going to put in the word shalom. I'm sorry, the word peace, sorry. I gotta think differently, there we go. The word peace, and we're going to go down, she typed it right in there, and then go down and click on King James or New King James. Those are the easiest ones to work with.
Either one of these two.
That's right, either one of those two. NKJV is the New King James, takes out some of the these and nows. And then click the little green search. There we go. So there you go. And then what's going to happen is there's going to be a list of the scriptures that are using the word peace. And the scripture that we specifically wanted was Numbers 6:26. So Charlie's going to scroll down to Numbers 6:26.
So you see on the left side is where all of the lists of the scriptures are that have the word peace in it. So I'm just hope I don't make you seasick here. So let's Numbers, we're going to, and down here, see it starts, oh, there we go. Numbers.
Correct.
6:26.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so Charlie, if you would click on number 6:26, you see those are all hyperlinks. It's going to take you to the scripture itself. It's going to open up that chapter. So if you scroll up, you're going to see the entire chapter of number 6. Isn't that wonderful? So you can, read ahead, read what was happening before. This is obviously the Aaronic blessing where you're being blessed, and Aaron is asking that that the Lord's face would shine upon you, and that he would lift up his countenance to you, and he would give you peace. So we're going to be looking at 6:26, which is the word peace in the context of the Aaronic blessing. Now you'll notice that it's highlighted. Isn't that great? So if you go over to the left and click on the blue box that says tools, and then for our purposes of what we're doing is we're going to go to the interlinear, and the interlinear is the lexicon definitions, not the dictionary definitions. So here we go. Fantastic. There's the scripture. It's written in the Masoretic text up at the top, starting on the right, moving to the left. 6:26, and then the words in Hebrew are always read right to left. So there you go. That's the Hebrew text. And what the Blue Letter Bible does is it takes those words, there you go, and it takes off the prefixes and the suffixes, and it just gives you the root word that you're going to be looking at. So down at the very bottom, we're seeing the word on the left. It says peace in English. And then in the center, it says the word shalom. And we're going to click on that. Next to it, it has H7965, I believe. And we're going to click on that. It's going to take us to the definition of the word shalom.
So what does the H stand for on this?
Hebrew. H is for Hebrew. If it's a New Testament word, it's going to have a G, and it'll take you to the lexicon for the Greek. G for Greek, H for Hebrew. Okay, so this is what this is it's going to show us a little bit about the word. And if you'll notice, what we want to do is get to the root word. That's where your story is going to come about. That's where you're going to find the story behind the word, so that you really get to understand the word from a biblical context. So here we go. If you look down, it's going to say part of speech, masculine noun. And then to the right, it's going to have a root word. It's going to have numbers, an H7999, and it's going to say, this is where it's coming from. It's coming from this word. And so you click on that word because you're going to go back to the root word, back to the root verb. And you're clicking on that, and it's going to take you to the root.
So one of the things reason we want to go to the root is because the English, it's being translated to an English noun because that's how our language runs. And we actually want to see what the original Hebrew verb is because that's how it was written originally in Hebrew. Is that correct?
Right. Because what happens is a noun is a solid, unmovable word. It doesn't have a flow and an energy. The verbs in Hebrew are flowing and energetic, and they are creating life as they move through. So whenever you have a noun and you want to study that out, you want to go back to the verb, which is going to have the movement and the flow. It's going to show you what's happening in the energy flow of the creator in that word. The noun will never give that to you. The noun is going to just be a solid stop, but the verb is going to show you where it's going. So you always want to go back to the primitive root verb, or sometimes it'll say unused verb, but there won't be any other numbers next to it. So you'll see that.
So we're here now, and you'll see here where it's the root word. There's no more numbers or nowhere else to go. You're at the root. So
you're at the root.
We're there.
Right. There you go. You're at the root. So what we're going to do now is we're going to scroll down, and we're not going to be getting involved with any of these English translations. These are dictionary translations from the King James. There's nothing wrong with those, but they're from an English perspective. And what we want to do is grab a hold of the Hebrew perspective from a lexicon study. So we're going to go past all of that and scroll down. We're going to be looking for the Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon. And it's on every Hebrew word is going to have that reference.
So before I go there, I want to just say that right here is actually, again, from right to left is the word shalom written out.
Yes.
And when you get a chance, you'll want to go over and go through Brenda's alphabet course, because what you'll start being able to do is go, oh, I know this is a shin, so shalom, and you'll be able to actually know, shin, lamed, oh, I know what this word is, it's shalom. And
you can sound it out.
You can sound it out. It's like Hooked on Phonics, but it's for Hebrew. So it's really fun. I bought something the other day. I went to a flea market and it had a rock and it had this chiseled out shalom on there. And it was funny. The guy was like, oh, it's shalom. I said, oh, I know how to read. I was all proud of myself. So I'm scrolling down to Gesenius. I digress. Okay, we're here. Here we are.
There you go. Perfect. So you went through all the dictionary, the English dictionary, definitions, the Strong's definitions. You went through all of that. You don't need to read those because you're going to get it from the Gesenius perspective, the Hebrew perspective. So this word is not shalom. It's actually shalom, which is the verb. Okay, and this where the word shalom comes from. So this is its home base. This is what it means. And the word shalom means to be whole, sound, safe. That is the basic definition of that word. And what's beautiful about that is in Gesenius, they highlight it in all capitals so that you know that that is the verb root definition of that word. And then all of the other definitions that will be coming through that as we click on read full entry, you can see all the other definitions that are part of that. They're like the flavoring to that basic highlighted in capital letters root. So that's what's exciting about this. And then you'll notice that's number one. Number two will be to be completed, finished. And then it gives you scriptures that say, you know what? It's used in this when a building was complete. And so what does shalom mean? It means complete. It means whole. It means sound. It means safe. It means being able to be used for the purpose that it was created for. And that's what you're going to start seeing in these scriptures here.
So Brenda, if I go back and I say, look up 1 Kings 7:51, I'm probably not going to see the word peace there, right?
Right. You probably will not see it.
I'll see the
So
word finished maybe, or
yes,
completed.
exactly. Right.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Which is why we are not just studying words in English words. We really want to study the scripture and find the words in the scripture so that we get all of the flavors of the meaning of that scripture and not just English. Because like we talked about earlier, some of the words for shalom for the root word shalom or shalom are things like finish or restored, or you would not even know that. You wouldn't know that those are the words shalom. Yeah. So we're going to be getting this beautiful flavoring here. If we go down a little bit farther, it's we don't have to go into all of the details. Just read the items that are italicized to begin with, to complete, to finish, to restore. And then it says, as something purloined. Well, it's using old terminology because these were written a long time ago, but you can look that up in Exodus 21, or something that's owned, or to pay as in a vow, something that's completed. You paid a vow, you completed that vow by making that temple payment. Okay, so it's talking about that. It's going to give you a lot of flavoring. I talked before about the main words are like the cake that's baked. To be whole, that's the cake that's baked. To be whole, to be sound, to be safe. The flavoring of that cake, the icing on that cake, is going to be finished, to be completed, to make secure. So when you hear the Aaronic blessing, and you hear, like, for example, Bill does a great job when he talks about when he says the Aaronic blessing, and he says that you would have wholeness, completeness, safety, security, that you would be able to operate in all that God has called you to be. Those are all definitions of the word shalom. It's not just peace. It's not absence of war or absence of chaos. It is a place within you that God has healed the fragmentation and caused you to be made complete. And that's what we're after when we're looking at words from a Hebrew perspective. We want to see that shalom means to be caused to be complete, to be finished, to be functioning properly. And that gets me excited. A lot better than just absence of conflict, right?
It's our English version is just absence of it's all about a feeling instead of a restoration that is happening. When we're speaking shalom over people, we're speaking restoration. And understanding that, imagine that's one of 8,100 words. If we get a full understanding of it, then as we're going through and we're reading, we're like, oh wow, as we look scripture up by scripture this way, then you get this understanding. Let's go back, and we're going to let's go back and see some of the other ways, maybe what we were talking about first usage. There's a place we want to go.
Okay. So, and if we click again on the word peace in Numbers 6:26, if we click on the scripture, I'm sorry, and then it's going to show us that, and we're going to open that up, go to interlinear, right? Okay. And then you're going to click down on shalom. Click on that again. There you go, the H7965. And then what are we going to do? We're going to go back to the root. So go to where the scriptures are, or the shalom is saying another number, right? And now it says primitive root. Okay, so now you're back where the primitive root is, the cake itself, right?
Right.
So we're going to scroll all the way down, and we're going to look for the first time that this word is ever used in scripture. And Blue Letter Bible did a phenomenal job of this.
We did.
It's just amazing, the hours and hours and years and years of study that went into this.
Yes.
So the very first time that this word is ever used in the scripture, Genesis 44:4, and it's talking about the reward. Where is that?
Right here, Genesis 44:4.
Mm-hmm. When they have gone out of the city and were not yet far off, Joseph said to his steward, "Get up, follow the men. And when you overtake them, say to them, why have you repaid evil for good?" Okay, so I'm looking for where is the word shalom. I don't see it. Let's click on the scripture.
We're going to tools and interlinear.
Interlinear. We're going
Okay.
to look at that scripture and we're going to scroll down the words. We're like, where is the word peace? I don't see the word peace. It's
Oh,
not in there,
there
but
it
the
is.
word shalom is. There you go. Perfect. So you just scroll down the scripture until you find the word that you're looking for, shalom, and there you go. And how it's translated in English is unto them, wherefore have you rewarded. So the word is rewarded, but what it's saying is, how have you made that complete? How have you finished that? How have you put together the things that are defragmented and make it complete so that it works?
That's really good. So again, if we were here to hear like, oh, I forgot what shalom meant again, you would click
Right?
here where it says Hebrews 799, and you're back at the and you go back down to your lexicon, and remember the first one where it's all capitalized,
Capitals.
to be whole, sound, and safe, and you
Right.
can click your back button and say how. Then you can say after the men, and then they overtake them. Say to them, unto them, how wherefore have ye rewarded, or where have you made them sound and complete? And then
Mm-hmm.
of course you should now study out the rest of the verse so you actually know what
Right.
the heck it all
Right.
means.
Right. Because it's saying in there, it's saying you repaid evil for the good that they gave you. So what you did was you fragmented. Why didn't you make it better? Why didn't you make it whole? Why didn't
Yeah,
you bring shalom into this situation? Why would you deliberately bring something that is breaking apart and
right.
not bringing shalom, that peace, that completeness? So isn't that interesting? We lose that in the English, but in the Hebrew it's always there. It's always taking us back to, what is that cake? What
Yes.
are the highlighted capital letters? What is it saying? Where is it taking you to? So it's so much more than absence of conflict, so much more than that.
Great.
Yeah.
We're going to close out this because this is one verse in the
Mhm.
Old Testament. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about a verse pulling the same word piece, and let's find a place in the New Testament and see what we
Great.
take in from there.
All right. We'll see you then.